Talking here with Dave, it's Soltau, right?
Soltau, that's correct.
Yes. And what are you currently working on? You are a
So
nurse
I'm the owner.
entrepreneur, right?
I am an entrepreneur. Yeah, I built a business back in 2007. I built a Medicare certified home health agency called Advanced Clinical Associates here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've got about 82 full-time employees that work for me. Probably the largest VA provider here in Phoenix. We do well over 1,000 visits a month. But above and beyond that, I started an online platform and personality. I started Dave the Nurse and the Health and Wealth Academy back in December of 2020. We're currently at week 9 into this, what I would define as a 5-year plan to see if I can make a difference from an entrepreneurial and a nursing perspective. My goal is to teach nurses how to think like entrepreneurs as well as be strong clinicians, either in the home setting or in the ICU, like you back in your day. So yeah, the intent here is to make a difference and continue to teach people what I've had the luxury of learning over the last 24 years through the School of Hard Knocks. So it's kind of a summary.
Incredible. Yeah. So what are the benefits you see as nurses turning into entrepreneurs?
Well, what's very interesting about that statement is, it's very often, which is terrible to say, but nurses don't make great entrepreneurs. We're givers. Think
Yeah.
about what we do for a living. We take care of people. We give back. Business is brutal. Business is challenging. Business takes a lot of grit. You got to have big shoulders and thick skin to survive in this game. And so my goal is to teach nurses how amazing it can be if they don't let their head get in the way and if they don't overthink everything and they accept the realities that it's going to be a challenge. You're going to have to grit through the realities of it all and just do your best, knowing that people aren't going to like what you do. They are going to make fun of you. Can you handle all those realities as well as all the entrepreneurial challenges that people don't think about? Running out of money. How do I do this? How do I hire people? So that's my vision as far as teaching people in reference to entrepreneurialism.
Beautiful. Yeah. I want to touch on what you said regarding, because a lot of nurses, they get into the career because they're compassionate, but then it's like this self-inflicted perpetuated cycle of just, I'm going to give to everyone else and I'm never going to ask for anything in return. Right.
Correct.
And that's what marketing and sales is. You have to ask.
Well,
That's been a big challenge for me as well, going from that compassion to now flipping the switch to, in order for me to provide value to the world, I still have to ask.
1,000,000%. Well, we're communicating today because you reached out to me and you asked and you closed on me to meet with you. And my thought was absolutely I'll meet with you. I'm always wanting to meet young, inspiring entrepreneurs that ironically are nurses. And the fact that you're male is great. Not that I don't care about the female nurses, but it's always nice to have a male in our profession. And I'm always looking for nurse entrepreneurs that really want to make a difference. And it doesn't matter what their angle is. The whole goal is to make a difference for our community, which is, fortunately, it's shrinking. I mean, let's be honest. You got out of the game. I'm a business owner. Even as a nurse of 24 years, I haven't practiced clinically in 13 years. I've been running a business.
But you keep your license, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I'm still very engaged, but the days of the 12-hour shifts, 36 to 60 hours a week are long gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but prior to that, I was a workaholic. When I was in the military, I had to work as much as I could because I was told to. Once I got out and became a civilian nurse, I recognized and realized how much opportunity there was if I was willing to grit through the realities of the game, which is 12 hours, day shifts, night shifts, evenings, chaos, heartache, drama. You get it. It's nursing. So the dynamics of the profession. And so.
And how many nurses have you worked with so far?
Are you talking about employees or in my lifetime? Or just with entrepreneurialism?
No, I mean with entrepreneurialism.
Hundreds. I've worked with hundreds of people over the last 13 years. And what's interesting, if you're referencing like who am I working with actively as Dave the Nurse and Health Wealth Academy, I'm working with 6 people right now. Very, very slow.
And what kind of opportunities are you helping guide them into?
Well, what's funny is a lot of them are coming to me from a non-medical home care perspective. I've had a couple that have reached out to me from how do I start a staffing company standpoint. I've got one that wants to start their own practice. I've got a nurse practitioner that wants to start their own nurse practitioner business. So it's a lot of the how do I get from I have this crazy idea to I want to start marketing what I've done after my LLC set up and I've got money in the bank and everything's set up from a tax ID perspective. What's my next move? I have an idea. Well, we all have ideas. I have an idea of putting a man on the moon. I don't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
mean, that's just the
absolutely.
reality of it all. It's like we all have ideas. I have ideas of building a Ferrari. Yeah, good luck with that one. But that's my point. Is you have to understand the how process. But more importantly than that, you've got to have that. What's going to prevent me from quitting? Because what I've learned is people start strong and end quick. And this is a game of longevity. This is a game where you have to view it from as a marathon, where this is the first 10 years of a business, maybe only the first 2 miles of a 26-mile run.
Yeah.
So it's all perspective. And if you're looking for instantaneous success, good luck with that one. Go win the lottery. Do you know what I mean? You're more likely to be successful by winning the lottery. And the truth is, you're not going to win it. So entrepreneurialism is a game of grit and a game of endurance and a game of stamina. Can you suck up the noise when everything's quiet, when you're putting all your heartache and your heart out there and nothing's happening? Can you suck up all that? Are you going to let your head get in the way of the reality of the game?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of faith in yourself too, and your purpose, right?
Well, you have to believe in what you do when no one else can see what you can.
Yeah.
Like no one can see the vision that you see. I have the ability. It's so funny. Our business, like I said, is 13 years old, but I knew at month 3 what we would look like at year 5, as long as we stayed on course. And we've hit every goal. But what's interesting is even at 13 years with over 80 employees, I still feel like we had barely even started. Like we're still in kindergarten and we have to get to high school. I'm like, I just graduated kindergarten. It took me 13 years to do it. But that's the reality of the game, is the fact that you don't know what you don't know. You can surround yourself with people who do know. Do you have what it takes to learn what they've offered you and take it to where it belongs? And then after that, what are you going to do with it? Are
Yeah,
you just going to sit in
absolutely.
the mirror? So, that's some of the realities. And I'm sure you as an entrepreneur, I'd like to hear what you're doing relative to everything and where you're at in your game, because this literally is a game. Um, and the
Yeah.
whole goal is to turn your game into a lifestyle.
Yeah, so I had the idea when I moved to Colombia. Basically, I got a lot of clarity, doing a lot of deep inner work, healing myself. My skin right now, I would say I'm 99% healed.
Good.
If you saw me a year ago, I looked terrible. So I didn't really jump fully into the entrepreneur game until I'd say September. So it's
Okay.
been nearly 5 months. Yeah. And then just recently started the YouTube channel. That's actually been really kicking things off. One of my videos
Good.
has 40,000 views now about why I quit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Why I quit nursing. It's big. And a lot of the people in these videos are, what you do is going to be helping them, because a lot of these people in the videos want to quit nursing. But for me, I want to teach them a lifelong skill set in order to cope with all stress in their life. Not just, I mean, nursing stress at the bedside is some really, really intense stuff.
What do you think
Um,
that is? I want to hear from your perspective, because I've got my own as a nurse of 24 years, but I'd love to hear it from your angle. Why
yeah.
nursing is stressful?
One, the system puts, if you look at like when a nurse gets in trouble for, let's say, drunk driving,
Uh-huh.
a doctor will often get off, but a nurse, like their board of nursing, holds nurses to such a high standard of how you have to show up in everyday life and as a nurse. And I think
100%.
that holds a pretty heavy weight. And now during COVID, we have everybody calling nurses heroes and all this stuff, and that puts this burden on you to be something bigger than you really are, which is just a human being.
Interesting.
And yeah, I think there's just this tremendous amount of pressure. And if you want to go into the actual aspects of bedside nursing, I mean, you're a waitress, you're an advocate, you are somebody, you're a chaplain as well when the chaplain's not there. Um, you have to be strong when everything else is falling apart.
Correct. Well, I've always said this 100 times, and I'll say it again without hesitation. Nursing, the profession as a whole, attracts a specific personality. And
Yes.
so what's interesting and ironic about that statement is sometimes I often wonder that the personality that goes into this space were they ever truly challenged? And I don't want to stereotype or even speculate prior to going into the space, number one. Number two, why did you go into nursing? Like, what was your motivation? Did you not know? Here's an example. My parents are both nurses. And when I told my mom I want to be a nurse, her response to me is, well, it's hard. That's it. What does hard mean? I define hard as climbing the Himalayas. But if you're talking about an emotional hard, a physical hard, a physiological hard, and an endurance hard from can you tolerate the way a physician will treat you? Can you tolerate the culture of a bad environment? Can you tolerate night shift when you get called in on a night shift when you're a day shift person, or vice versa? There's a lot of quote hard, but do people understand the realities of the profession? That's the real question. I wish someone could create a course on what they're going to be getting into so they know what they're going to get into. Number two, it's interesting. I don't know about how your nursing school was, but I was in a nursing school where through clinicals, you were actually in a constant state of fear. Like, oh my God, I'm going to hurt somebody. What if I, and you take that and then you graduate nursing school with that unspoken anxiety. And then you got the boards. Oh my God, what if I fail my boards? And then you go into the space and you're in a constant state of anxiety. Oh my gosh, what if I hurt somebody? What if I forget to do something? What if I? And a lot of people don't understand those realities of this profession. So they live in a constant and chronic state of unspoken, I'm going to use that term, anxiety associated with the profession, a profession where you are defined as a hero as long as you maintain what you would define as the expectations of the board. In other words, you can't be human, because if you do something stupid like DUI, then all of a sudden you're no good. You're thrown away.
Yeah, and what do they do to you in fourth semester? They take you to a court hearing to watch all these nurses who got in trouble for something that they did, which is them being human. And yeah, it's quite crazy, and it's a fear mongering tactic to make you keep your license. And yeah, there's a lot of things in the system that need a lot of work. So.
Well, I've always, it's funny, in my 23 years, I've probably precepted hundreds of nurses in some capacity, whether it be in the ER, cardiac cath lab, CVICU, even in home health. And I've learned that the best environments for people to learn in is an environment where it's not so stressed. And even if it is, you, the instructor, are going to maintain the pressure as you're educating on the realities. I don't want a nurse freaking out in front of me if I'm coding. Yeah. I want you to be able to handle I need you to own it. Like in the emergency room, I knew that if you and I were together and somebody coded, it was game on, baby. It was us against them. I can't have you like, oh my God, what do I do? Well, if you don't know what you do, it's okay, but come hang with me. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. And then we're going to talk about how it went, so that when it happens again, you're ready to rock. But that takes time. And it takes preceptors and people that can educate you on how the realities of that, and even how to come off that. Like, you've come out of a situation where the team lost, the patient died. How do you handle that? A lot of people don't know how to.
Yeah, and even at the hospital I worked at, it was a trauma 2 center, but on one of the worst nights I ever had, there wasn't really a debrief, and the debrief that did occur was more of like kind of spreading fear into like me potentially losing my license, and it's a sentinel event and stuff like that. And that's not how healthcare should be, because in the system that we work in, there are going to be mistakes made. The whole entire system is designed for profit.
Yeah, I never thought about it from that perspective, but yes, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah, so instead of having, we're told as nurses that we always have to protect the patient, but the system is not protecting us, protecting the patient, because they want more money. They're not going to hire another nurse to, like, when I was working, we had a bunch of new grads on night shift, and there was one night where all of us had very insane assignments, and we didn't have a relief nurse, and we go to management all the time, and they wouldn't do anything about it because it's not in the funding.
It's not in their funds, is that what they said?
Yeah, it's not. They don't have the money for it, or they give you some BS excuse like, we'll look into it, but then 4 months later you follow up and there's still nothing.
So then what did you guys do about that? That's where I'm curious. I mean, you guys have made a formal complaint to management. I'm assuming management were both clinical people. They were probably nurses. Is that fair? Nurses that probably haven't touched a patient like me in 13 years. I mean, it's true. You get into a position as management and leadership where you actually are non-clinical, and the whole idea of actually taking care of a patient is kind of scary because you haven't touched a patient in 13 years. And all of a sudden I come from the leader to the student in a matter of a sentinel event or physiological change. Uh, it's amazing how that happens. And there's often at certain levels where their hands are tied. The real question becomes, what do you guys as young nurses, as new grads, what do you do about it?
Yeah, I think what I wish I would have had was assertiveness training. I wasn't never taught to be assertive. I was always putting other people's needs before my own, including my coworkers. Like if they called me to do something, I wouldn't be like, no, I got something else to do. I was always a team member that would help everyone else. But I wasn't asserting my needs, and I wasn't going and actively telling management what needed to be done differently because of fear.
Fear of what? I got to ask the
Fear,
hard question.
fear of getting fired, fear of getting bullied or anything like that. Like I just made a YouTube video about, I'll post it tomorrow, but
Yeah.
about getting bullied by a nurse when I first started. And if I would have had more assertiveness training, that would not have happened.
So in your opinion, based on your experience, assertiveness training, where does that belong? Does it belong in nursing school? Does it belong part of the orientation process of the hospital? Is it a separate course that's managed for nurses to buy into, where they get to hang out with assertive nurses and strong nurses? What's your opinion?
It could be all of the above, but I think it starts in nursing school, and
Okay.
even the whole education system. I mean, the things that we should really be getting taught in school is finances, assertiveness, communication, how to love yourself more,
Uh-huh.
meditation,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. 1,000%. But that brings us back to, there's a specific personality that goes into nursing.
Yeah,
So when you talk about assertiveness training, this sounds very terrible, but I'm gonna be very careful I word it, but it's the truth. Assertiveness and nursing sometimes don't go hand in hand.
correct. Yeah, especially
I,
if you look at the past between like a female dominated profession with mostly male doctors who are pretty much barking orders at them. Yeah, it doesn't go hand in hand. But there's a book I read, I can't remember the exact one, but it's about burnout and stress management in nursing, but it does cover assertiveness training, especially
yeah.
for female nurses, because yeah, it's the truth. Female nurses are generally less assertive than male nurses.
So my $1 million question is, when do we create the course on assertiveness from a nursing perspective? Because I think it'd sell extremely well, because there's a lot of great nurses that are 3 questions away from resigning from the profession and leaving it all together, because they've been surrounded by people that aren't good, number one. They've been surrounded by people that aren't great educators, number two. And they've been told they suck when they really don't.
Yeah.
And they're not strong enough to say, no, I don't suck. I'm actually very talented. I'm just new at this game. I'm looking to you to educate me on the expectation, because I'm turning to you as you're my preceptor. I need to understand, and don't judge me. And remember, there's an often time where the instructor is going to teach the new nurse how they were instructed. I mean, I went out of my way when I precepted my nurses. I'm like, I'm treating you this way. I expect you to treat those that you're going to orient the way I treated you. And if you don't,
Mm,
I'm going to come down on you. And I'm not going to come down on you hard. I'm going to call you out. Why are you dogging him? I didn't dog you like that. That is not the way I trained you.
yeah.
You don't get to be a you know what. Now that you're in a leadership position, I expect you to lead. And so it's, your comments are valid. But, one of the things I've always taught nurses, especially ours, is I don't want passive aggressive. I want active assertive. I need you to tell me why X, and don't think I'm going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. I have no energy to judge you. I have no desire. What I want at the end of the day, it's you and me. It's us against them. Them is defined as the patient. It's never me against you against them ever.
Mm,
People get in their own heads though. He doesn't
yeah.
like me. She doesn't like me. I don't know what I said to her. That game's got to stop. I'd rather you come at me and say, Dave, this guy's in trouble. We need to get all over him. And then we attack him from a clinical perspective. We stabilize him. And we high five each other for a job well done. We don't sit here and badmouth each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you have differing opinions about the person's values or whatever, we are a team and we have the same goal. It doesn't matter
100%.
about all the other crap. Right.
Exactly. So no, your points are super valid. But like I said, I got to keep going back to the beginning. Like there's a specific personality, and I think things are changing. There's more men coming into the profession. There's more people that are recognizing what it requires at this point. Nursing is very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, But what I'm curious more than anything is, okay, there's nurses that want to resign and leave the profession. How do we capture them before we leave and put them into another space in nursing so we don't lose them as nurses? We just lose them as bedside nurses. I'd rather that person go sell pharmaceuticals, do what you're doing, start a business, go educate at a university as a nursing instructor. There's so many other things I'd rather you do with your R and your N besides leave it on the table and peace out, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm going to be doing is collecting the resources for transitioning and being able to give people more resources in terms of where they can go, because a lot of nurses are you're only really told in school you're going to work at the bedside, and then you have to do a lot of your own um, studying and research to identify what other options there are. But nursing is one of the most abundant careers out there in
Oh,
terms of
yeah.
variability for what you can do.
Well, I joked all the time for years that nursing is the only profession where you can take a risk, and if it fails, you land on a $90,000 fluff pillow. Think about that. You know, today's nurses are making anywhere between 35 and 60 bucks an hour. You work 3 shifts, you're making 120 at 60. You're making 70 at 35. You're making 90 at 45. That's for 3 shifts. Throw in a
Yeah.
4, well into the 6 figures. So my point is, if people could understand the math in the game and they could understand the game and the why, can't take everything personal. But if you really don't want to do this, before you leave the game, let me see if you'd be willing to teach at University of Kentucky in the College of Nursing. We need a great BSN who's master's prepared. Before you leave, let me see if I can introduce you to XYZ. They're looking for an enzyme replacement therapy educator as a nurse. There's a school nursing position for you. There's a doctor's office that would love your cardiovascular experience in the GI lab. Don't leave the game, leave the space. Don't leave nursing, leave your job.
Yeah. What is the best way to develop this portfolio of places that we can send?
It's a great thing. Well, it's funny you talk about that. So the Health and Wealth Academy, one of the goals of that platform is to bring on educators that want to create courses specifically on how they got to where they are. Here's an example. I'm working with a nurse right now who's a nurse practitioner through the military. She's actually creating a course on how to go from an RN in the civilian world into the military as a nurse practitioner and the steps along the way. So that'll create a nurse practitioner for the military. So that's a win for the United States Army or for the Navy or the Air Force. But there's a civilian nurse that's going, you know, I've always wanted to be in the military and I've always wanted to be a nurse practitioner. I don't know how to do it. That's an example. There is a nurse in the military, I'm making this up, that's all of a sudden decided that I don't want to be an RN anymore. I'd rather sell pharmaceuticals. I'm looking for somebody who can create a course on how to become a pharmaceutical rep as an RN as your credentials. In other words, you're no longer practicing, but you're now selling for Pfizer, and you are now an educator on how to on these medications that you're familiar with as a registered nurse, and you proudly wear RN BSN behind your name when you're selling to all these doctors. That's another example. Gosh, there's so many ways to teach people how to get to where they are above and beyond let me teach you how to get off a med surg floor and be an ER nurse. That's great. I'd rather you take your ER experience and become an ACLS instructor at a university. How do we become an ACLS, a PALS instructor? How do I start my own PALS course, my ACLS courses? How do I do that? How do I teach that as a nurse? Remember, nurses are highly sought after, but they're also well respected outside of their core of people.
Yeah, you talk to anyone and say you're an RN, they're like, my uncle was just in the hospital. Thank you for what you do. And yeah.
Correct. You go work in a hospital, the CVICU, and you go, I'm a nurse. They go, Dave, you almost killed Mr. Jones last night. But you know what I'm saying? That's the difference. And then you step out and they go, oh my God, you do hearts? My dad had heart surgery last year. I love you guys. You go back in the unit and they go, I hate that guy. That guy sucks. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost the same sentence. It's a continuation in the same hour. Thank you, you're terrible. Thank you, you're terrible. It's incredible. And I agree with you. So remember that nurses are highly sought after and well respected, maybe outside of our circle of peers.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, yeah. So that's me just rambling as usual.
And to go back into the conversation of personality, do you think that the personality that's most attracted to nursing is that of the rescuer?
Yes, it's the empath. The code. I used to be blown away by some of these amazing nurses that married certain people. I'm like, how? Codependent enablers is what I used to say all the time.
Codependent enablers. Yeah.
These are people that meet somebody, they have to give back. They actually feel better because they're giving back. And there's an unspoken why. We don't know what that is. But I've noticed there's a codependency in the profession. There's absolutely an enabling in the profession. There's an empath side of nursing, which is what you require. I mean, we don't want you to be so rigid. I need you to be caring and understanding, but have a freaking spine where you can say absolutely not, and don't hesitate to stand up in front of these doctors and or your peers. Put people in their place. You want experience, go work in the emergency room. You will deal with families and patients that will just spit in your face. Families will do all kinds of you need to woman and man up.
Yeah.
Because it will make you firm and strong. You will not tolerate crap. You go to other parts of the nursing and it's this touchy-feely therapeutic speech. I'm like, oh my God, I need you tougher. I say it all the time. I need you tougher. I need your skin thicker. I need you stronger in this space, or you're not going to make it. You're going to get killed, or you're just going to emotionally and or physically burn out.
And how do we cultivate this toughness besides just going in and figuring it out?
You almost have to talk to people. You need to create courses on toughness, on nursing and assertiveness. I like what you said there. You know, I'll be honest with you. If you'd be willing to do that, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, that would be amazing because you have vast knowledge and you're well spoken, well dressed. I like you.
Thanks. I'm wearing a health and wealth t-shirt today.
Yeah.
No, but I appreciate it. No, but yes, there's I would love to be a resource from the assertive. If you've got a vision for a course or a seminar or a Zoom where people pay a subscription to be part of this, I think it's an untapped market because there's a lot of nurses that are, again, 3 nasty sentences away from quitting the profession forever.
Yeah, if you go into my YouTube video, oh man, there's hundreds of comments about people quitting or just quit. Or
can you share your screen and show me that? I'd love to.
Absolutely.
I would love to see your YouTube page, and I'd love to see what you're about, and I'd love to be part of it.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm gonna put this video on there. So
yeah, please, that'd be great.
So this is it. Yeah, just got up to 500 subscribers, which has been big.
Congratulations.
And that's been in 10 days maybe.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's just 73 on the 13th. Insane. So where is it? Yeah, this is the one that's gotten the most views.
So how long have you been a nurse for?
It was just 2 years.
Wow. Interesting. And you know what? I'll be more than happy to watch this video when we're done. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. And you literally just posted. Interesting. Are you working with an SEO company, or you just put in something that triggered a lot of interest?
It's all on my own. The SEO that I use TubeBuddy, which is a SEO analysis tool.
Very good.
It gives you an optimization score and everything. So
very good.
I think that one was only ranked like 88. So I just posted it, but you never know really what's going to take off with the people. Some of the other scores that I post a score 100 out of 100 and the video gets 12 views. So it's just trial and error.
That's good. Well, whatever I can do to be a resource for you, I'd love to be part of your thing as we grow. I'm only out just as much as you are. Health and Wealth and Dave the Nurse only started back in December. But that's the goal. That's a longevity play. It's like I said, the goal is 3 to 5 years on that one, and to see what kind of difference I can make collaborating with great people. It's not about me. It's about what kind of team can we put together.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do in this industry. So
yeah. So what other questions do you have? I'm sure you've got a few or a bunch, or maybe you got enough.
Yeah, I have a bunch for you. Let's see. So you were practicing for, what was it, 13 years?
So I was a nurse for 13 years before I got out of the profession. Mine's an interesting story. I actually was an Army nurse for 4 years. And then at my 4th year, I realized, like you, this is just not for me. And I knew at year 2 that I made a mistake.
Really?
Yeah, I did. So I was on a med-surg GYN floor working evenings, and I wanted so bad to get into a cardiovascular ICU. And I talked to the right people and asked the right questions. I asked for the clothes, and I got into the ICU. And that was one of those be careful what you wish for situations. And in that time frame, I was losing sleep and losing weight, and it was such a stressful situation. And then I was surrounded by people that were selling assets associated with the CV space, balloon pumps, ventricular assist devices, mechanical hearts. And I thought to myself, I want to be that person. I want to be the person that actually dresses up nice and teaches nurses how to use ventricular assist devices. So again, sales. I reached out to them when I was leaving the military in 1999. They offered me a job in 2000, and I was a sales rep for ventricular assist devices and mechanical hearts. I was a clinical nurse specialist. I lived on an airplane. I had 23 states that I covered. And this was my second example of be careful what you wish for. I lived on a plane. I was 60% travel of a 7-day week. I was newly married with a brand new baby on the way. Was never home. I lived out of a suitcase, but I got all those beautiful things you wanted, Dave. You asked for it. You got stock options. You got a computer. You got this. You got that. You got 100,000 points on your credit card because you live on a plane. Congratulations. Job well done. High five to you. And so after 10 months, I realized this is not for me either. And so then I was lost. Here I am, a nurse. I had already left the profession. I went into sales as a nurse. Didn't like that. And I humbly came back to nursing. I ran an ER as a charge nurse for a couple of years until I stumbled into registry, which was per diem staffing. And I worked at 20 different hospitals in Phoenix. And I realized, my gosh, this is my calling. I love just being the guy who parachutes in and helps, because again, my background was CV and ER. You could drop me in anything, and they didn't know me, so they'd give me a bunionectomy and a status post cardiac cath lab patient. It's like, will you just check drawings of this guy? I'm like, my background. Just be quiet, Dave. They don't care about your background. Just go take care of that bunionectomy who's on a Zantac drip. I'm just teasing. But that was what it was like. So I was making a lot of money to be a resource and just go in there and take care of people. And I loved it because I had no pressure. And then I realized I'd rather staff the people instead of being the one being staffed. And that's where my entrepreneurialism came out. But everything I did, as you see, was one step towards building a business, and everything was sales. I want to get off the floor and go to CV. I want to go sell equipment. I want to do this. And it's about putting yourself out there and just going for it. And you don't worry about what people think. You don't get stressed out about, oh my gosh, they don't like me. It doesn't matter. Just go do it. Watch what happens when you stop caring about what people think.
Yeah.
And you do what makes you happy.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I'm sure you can agree about this. When it comes to the 3 skills you need to be an entrepreneur, it's sales,
Yep.
communication, usually in the form of video, and then copywriting, right?
You do, but on top of that, you got to have emotional intelligence. You got to be able to connect with the average person. Like there's so many people that just can't connect. You know, I can tell if you and I work together, we'd be great together. But there have been people you just meet and you're like, I'm trying every trick to get them to at least engage me, and I can't, it's not working. And I'm like, if you are that personality that's too stiff, takes themselves extremely too serious, you can't make a mistake, you're not going to make it in this game. I promise.
No.
This is a game of trial and error, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself when you say something dumb or you do a dumb thing. That's just part of it. And, you know, people are actually going to like your realness, if you will, about putting yourself out there.
Yeah, the authenticity.
100%. So I'm kind of one of those, what you see is what you get, take it or leave it.
My favorite kind of people. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, what's funny, as a nurse, it's worked in a hospital setting. 99% of the time it's worked. You know, when I was a charge nurse, I never had a bad shift. I always used to hear about the charge nurses having bad shifts. I never had them because it was always like, let's rock out today. Let's get pizza. We're in. Whatever comes in, we go. It was just understood. We got it. And even if all heck was breaking loose, bring it was our attitude.
Yeah, you had the mindset of like, let's go to war together, right?
Let's go to war together. You got me, I got you. 1-2 buddy rushes. I got your back. Yeah, that's how it was. That's how it is.
Yeah, and you're a very strong leader.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But you know, what's funny is it's worked out really nicely for my office. So like I said, I've got a team of 9 that manages over 80 people. My goal this year is to maintain that 9 to get to almost 100 to 150 employees. That's my
incredible.
Intent. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. It's one step at a time.
And that's a staffing agency, right?
No, that's my home health agency. That's my Medicare certified home health agency. That's advancedclinicalaz.com. If you check that out, you'll see Our website is exceptional. We put a couple bucks behind it to really make it beautiful. And it links to Dave the Nurse and the Health and Wealth Academy. So it gives you an idea of who we are, what we've accomplished, and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, can you explain that route of what you're doing?
Yeah. So again, I own a Medicare certified home health agency here in Phoenix. And we do two things. Number one, we take care of patients when they come out of the hospital. So best example is if your father were to break his hip, we would do the physical therapy for taking care of your dad, and bill Medicare for that service as an example, or bill Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, things like that. That's angle one. So that's from a nursing perspective, whether it be RN, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. And
And
then we
so
do the
you have to organize the staff basically in order to fulfill the patient's needs.
100%. So
Okay.
we'll connect with the case manager who's trying to send Mr. Jones out. He's been in the hospital 10 days. He needs physical therapy, occupational therapy, skilled nursing services, and speech therapy. We have all those assets in place to take care of Mr. Jones when he goes home. So we have to make sure that the insurances will pay us. We need to make sure that we meet all the protocols from a physician ordering perspective. And then from there, we got to make sure that our core staff can actually manage that patient timely, as in within 48 hours of getting out of the hospital. And then we have to coordinate all of those steps from A to Z, maintain all the paperwork set by both state and Medicare, and then we've got to bill appropriately. So it's a huge business. It's a multi-million-dollar a year business, which has been very successful. And then we have a non-skilled side, which is helping grandma to the bathroom, helping her go to the store, maybe taking her to her doctor's visits, making sure she's safe from a safety perspective. That's the health. That's ACA Wellness Institute. So both assets are moving together. And again, it's been a 13-year build out.
And what's your vision and mission of the company?
Vision and mission of the company. My goal for the next 5 years is probably be the largest player in Phoenix. It's funny, people ask, hey, would you consider franchising Advanced Clinical? My answer is no, because what makes Advanced Clinical go is the people we have.
Yeah.
You could copy paste yourself, but you can't copy paste the people. You can't copy paste the leadership. What I'd rather do is I'd rather try to grow Advanced Clinical where there's 5 million people in Phoenix and be the largest provider, the primary provider for every hospital, every system. And what I would consider doing with the wellness angle, which is our non-medical piece, is if turning that into a franchise. But that's a big, expensive play that is not a priority at this moment. I'd rather just continue to grow our asset here in town organically as well as locally.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then you never know, there may be a buyout in the future, but I've got employees now that have hinted to me that before I ever sell, would you consider selling to me? Like, yeah. So, and staying on as a resource where we just get paid a dollar amount. But right now I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the ride. I've got amazing people, both clinically as well as management wise. And so from an Advanced Clinical perspective, the goal is just to maintain it for as long as possible. What I'd love to do is see what I could do with Advanced for the Health and Wealth and Dave the Nurse, where I could bring on other people to grow that online platform. Again, a couple of things to think about. Number one, in the next 5 years, over $300 billion is going to be spent on education, just online. So that's number one. And number two, there's a nursing shortage. We need to figure out, we need smart people in the game that are not afraid to speak up, to figure out why there's bottlenecks everywhere, unbottleneck those spaces, and capture the nurses that are leaving the profession and see if we can put them somewhere where they can use their resource, assets, and talent, still get paid well, but they don't have to be bedside. Again, I'd rather them do something else as a nurse than leave the game.
Yeah.
So.
And do you have any advice regarding building teams?
Advice regarding building teams. Yeah, it starts with you. You've got to believe in you. If it's just you and me, we'll be fine. If we bring on that third person, we'll be fine. If I have to change the whole team and start over because all of the team sucks and we've had to do that before, that's fine. You have to believe that you as the leader can take on whatever situation you're in and mold these people to attack that moment so that we can get through what we have to get through, regardless of who they are. Can't be afraid to speak up. You have to cut heads off because you're going to have people that have been nurses for 20 years that will tell you why you're wrong, and they're actually the toxic problem, but everyone's afraid of them because they've been in it long. Off with that head, baby. Off with it. Go work somewhere else. I don't care how great you are. You're a toxic person who doesn't recognize who they are. They are not self-aware of who they are, and they're not recognizing or realizing what they're doing, or better yet, maybe they do, and they don't care. If you're that person, you got to go. So leaders have to be able to lead regardless of the situation, not hesitate to make the hard decisions. And if you got to make changes in the leadership, they got to go.
And taking full accountability for anything
1
that
million
happens,
percent.
right? Yeah.
Well, you own it. You
Yeah.
own it. Again, you have to know that you'll be fine on your own. You'll be fine with this team over here on the left of 5. You'll be fine on the team on the right on 5. You got to accept that I only like 2 people from the team on the left, 6 people on the team from the right. My numbers are all jacked up. I'd rather combine the best of the best under me and we go. That's what I've learned. And again, I've been, because of the military and everything else, I've had great leaders and I've had terrible leaders. People I would jump off a bridge for, and there's people I wouldn't fall out of a burning house. They lead me the wrong way.
And you sound like a very busy family man. You have businesses going on. How do you keep so organized?
I live and die by these.
Yeah.
I mean, I live and die by them. Super organized. I do an amazing amount of delegation to smarter people than me. I start my days early and end my days early. I'm a 4:30 wake up guy, and I'm a 9 p.m. go to bed guy. I recognize what's important. I also recognize what can be put off till tomorrow. I'm super accountable for everything. If I tell you I'll be there at 10 o'clock on a Monday for a Zoom call, I will be there at 10 o'clock on Monday in a Zoom call. And you're just part of my to-do. You're right there at the top, 10 o'clock Zoom. I've got tons going on. But I made a promise to you last week and I meant it. It's just it.
Yeah, beautiful. It's something that I know you have your system down, but something that I just found recently, which is a game changer, it's an app called Asana.
Spell it for me, please.
Asana.
Uh-huh.
And essentially what you can do is, actually, I'm going to share my screen right now.
Yeah, please.
So you can organize, I have it executive, operations, products and services, sales and marketing, and you can build timelines and boards for what you need to do. And you check it off and it goes into your main calendar. And so it's essentially your to-do list that you have right there, just more consolidated into an online platform.
Love it. Yeah, well, I can tell you, I'm not that I'm not an Asana guy. I'm still old school paper and pen, but again, it's because I've got people that work under me that actually use assets like that to make sure that my head's on straight. But I'm still the guy that driving home, I go home and I'll write out to 12, 15 things I have to do today. And then I just check them off and they're done.
Yep, whatever works for you.
Yeah, so it's been good. It's been a lot of work and everything's been good. But, like I said, I've surrounded myself with amazing people. I take pride in that. Really surrounding myself with great people, giving the autonomy to do what has to get done. We set deadlines with goals, and then we attack them. And when we don't hit them, we get to the bottom of the why we didn't get there. Sometimes it's just the weather's terrible, COVID. We can make up all kinds of, quote, excuses. Sometimes the excuses are reality. So you just have to differentiate. And then we don't beat people up for not getting there. Everyone has a reason for why they're not getting there. I'd rather build you up, figure out why you didn't get there.
Yeah. And go ahead and plug in all your information. You got davethenurse.com, right?
davethenurse.com is one of my online platforms. HAWacademy.com is the Health and Wealth Academy. And then I'd love for you guys, which links to all that, check out my home health agency website at advancedclinicalaz.com. And you'll see what we're about, all the insurances that we take, a little bit about our business, the types of services that we provide. We're always looking for great clinicians in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and we're not going anywhere. And people who work for me, they get to hang with me. So I mean that. It's cool. It's really, really cool. And I'm really glad you reached out to me because I will tell you, it's been an inundation of people, and which I love. It's kind of like, oh, this is cool. But it's at the same time, I'm like, oh gosh, how do I balance all these people?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but it's been great. So I got to ask you, because you've allowed me to dominate the conversation, and I appreciate that. I got to ask you, what is your big vision with what you're doing?
Yeah, but my big vision, I have a couple of them. One, I really want to help facilitate change within the healthcare system. And it seems like very big and very daunting to most people.
Mm-hmm.
That's through more self-care and giving people the tools to be able to say, I'm going to put myself before this profession.
Mhm.
So a lot of people, they just they're martyrs for the system, and then that leads to resentment and burnout. Whereas people need to know what they're capable of, and that they can make career changes and they can live a happy life, and they're completely worthy of having one if they make the choices and the steps to do that. And so
100%.
yeah, I want to facilitate just giving people more hope within this profession.
Well, you know what's sad to me? You use the word hope. I think it's unfortunate that nurses get hopeless in this profession. Is it because they feel like they can't leave their floor? Is it because they didn't like the way they felt when before they started their floor, like they were so nervous about getting on that floor, and now they're on the floor. They don't want to leave it because they hated how they felt when they got on the floor. That's all got to stop. You want to learn? I tell you, I would recommend to any nurse who's not sure about what they want to do, if they've got the clinical experience, to go play in the staffing registry world. That's where you go out there and sell your clinical skills to the highest bidder through a third party company, and they get to place you in these facilities where you're just a resource. There's this unspoken that they're going to treat me bad, and no, they're so grateful that you're there. I've
Mm.
never been mean to a registry or staffing nurse because I was so grateful. Now, did we have people say, I don't think it's fair that Dave makes more money? I don't really care. If you want to make more money, come hang with me. I'll sign you up at my facility or at the location, and you can come make more money for me. But right now, I'm here to help you get through this because nobody else is. You've had half of your floor quit because of poor management, poor staffing, XYZ. I'm here to help. Let me help you. Let's get through this, and quit telling me I'm making more money than you, because the truth is, no duh. That's why I left. That's why I'm doing it. So I wish people could go and play, because they'd realize how easy it is to go to other places. It also makes them understand that I can do this. I can go leave
Yeah.
and let them badmouth me. I don't care. They can badmouth me all they want. I'm going to go be a CVICU nurse because I'm tired of being a med-surg nurse. I'm going to go work in the emergency room because I'm tired. And when you say it's nerds room scary, guess what? It sure as heck is. So what? Do you want it? Do you want it? Yes or no? Do you
Yeah.
want to be a nurse? Think about nursing school. Think about what we went through. It's hard as hell. What's your point? Well, I'm just letting you know. Well, thank you. It's noted that we both agree that it's hard. What are we going to do to make sure we both get through the nursing program and pass our boards together? What are we going to do? Cry about it? It's not going to change anything. Okay, wipe your tears. It's done. Now let's go get it. That's the mentality. That's what it's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Something I want to touch on was like with your work environment, especially when I was leaving, it was like when crabs are in a bucket and one of them goes to jump out, they pull the other crab down.
Yep.
That's how it was for me. It was very hard to leave the profession at that time because all my coworkers said you can't do that. And I was at a dinner party one night, and I already put in my 2 weeks notice. My next shift is like on the 31st, and then I'm done. And somebody tells one of the RTs that I'm moving to Columbia, and she goes, "You can't do that." And I go, "Yes, I can." But none of them supported me, and you could tell the nurses who were actually genuinely happy for me were usually genuinely happy with themselves and better at stress management.
100%.
Yeah.
Remember, people would rather tear you down than build you up.
Yep.
And it's easier for me to tear you down and make me feel better about myself. I'm the guy that says, go get it. And when everything fails, come back and hang out with me. Your job is still safe when things fail.
Yep.
Translation: I'm not going to fail, Dave, but God forbid I do. It's nice to know you still got me. I tell people all the time, don't ever burn your bridge, because I promise you, you'll come back with it all broken and be like, can you help me rebuild it? You just never. I mean, I came back to the profession after leaving it humbled because I was so grateful.
Yeah.
So and let people doubt you and prove them wrong. And if things go south, come back. Or maintain your nursing and go do something else as a nurse. But yeah, people are going to pull you down. That's because they don't want you to leave it. And because, my opinion only, you're actually better than you think. They don't want to lose you. You're talented. You're good energy. They like when you're there. Hey, when he's here, it's awesome. Versus, oh God, now all the cool people, I'm going to use that term loosely, have left. Have you ever had situations where all the good people, the best nurses all leave? They all go.
Yep.
We used to have mass exodus. When I worked CDICU in the military, they were either launching off to anesthesia programs or we're being deployed to other locations or being moved out after 3 years. When we lost this person, that person, that it was devastating because you didn't know what was coming in. We got used to you. We knew you were good. We knew you were reliable. We knew you knew hearts. And yeah, so you had Mr. Jones go south that one time. I'm not going to assume that's who you are because of that situation.
Yeah.
But trust me, there are nurses that are insecure. Like, he's terrible. He needs to go. He was, fine. You need to let yourself go. I love how you're like, they're trying to pull you down. You need to chuck their little claws.
Yeah, well, something I came to terms with as well is oftentimes if somebody wants me to stay and they're not
Uh-huh.
saying that, a lot of the times what I realized was this person actually wanted to do what I was doing, but didn't have the courage or wasn't financially capable or whatever. So she's like, no, you can't do that because it was her own projection.
1000%.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have what they want it as bad as you do. They can't do it. It's like what we're doing online. This takes a lot of balls to do what we're doing.
Yeah. Put yourself out
Big
there.
gut.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's really hard to put yourself out there. But above and beyond that, everyone wants to do it, but they won't. It's
Yeah.
not they can't, they won't. There's a difference. I can't stand when people say I can't do it. No, you physically can. You just mentally won't.
You just chose not to. Yeah.
You chose not to. So as long as you choose not to, you need to get out of the way because we're barging through. Ahead, baby. So that's what I'm saying. I want to surround myself with amazing people. And even if you're more credentialed, I definitely need you on my team. I think it's awesome. I'd love to have a PhD and MSNs and a bunch of them that are highly credentialed. And then we create through them what they want to do. And then my goal is to get it out there. I'd love to be part of what you're doing. I think what you're doing is a huge piece. And whatever I can do to help, I'd love to help.
Yeah. Let's
Love
collaborate. We can talk more off video.
it.
So
Yeah.
I'll,
So, no,
go
this is
ahead.
good. No, this is good, Logan.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, yeah, thank you so much for being on. We can end it here, unless
All
you have
right.
anything else to add.
I don't. Thanks for your
Okay.
time. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.